All right, this has been a minute since I have sat down and talked to the camera in a vlog, but I felt like I couldn't let this month specifically pass without sitting down. And I personally treat vlogs as like a diary entry, and then I'm also like hopeful if there's anything that I share that can somehow help someone else. Maybe they're not going through the exact same thing or haven't gone through the exact same thing, but maybe there's something that I share that can encourage someone. I kind of feel like it helps put my journey into some type of like purpose or whatever. But let's be honest, selfishly, I more just do it for me because it's super therapeutic for me to just like kind of sit, and I think a lot. So being able to kind of get the thoughts out of my head is very therapeutic. But November has just always been a tough month for me since 2016. So this will be the 7th year of just, the good thing is I used to not know, like I used to not be as self-aware. Like I would literally just go into such an emotional headspin in November, and I would always be so thrown off. And then I recognize, whether it's God helped me or somehow I was like, I think this is like cyclical because so much trauma happened in November of 2016 for me. So I think, our body stores trauma, our mind stores trauma. So even if we push it down as far as we can, our body remembers and our brain remembers. So thankfully, I've taken steps to make sure that I'm like mentally and emotionally and spiritually a little bit more prepped during this type of month. But I kind of actually wanted to get on here, and I actually wanted to share thoughts on like when you're praying for something or believing for something and God doesn't answer it. I think that it can be a little bit of a taboo topic to talk about in the church and with Christians, because we kind of sell this like theme that you have enough faith or you pray enough, like God answers your prayers, especially if they're good things. And so for me, I think I really hit this crossroad in November 2016, which I was going on being married for 2 years at that point. January would have been our 2nd year anniversary. And within days, we got into an argument, and I was staying at my parents' house, and we were texting, and all of a sudden, like, I could tell something had shifted. And we had been fighting maybe for about 3 days. He was in the National Guard, so he was on drill weekend, so he was away anyways. But I was like, something's wrong. Like, normally in our arguments, he would be the one very quick to like want to say sorry and work it out. And this time around, he just didn't even want to talk to me. But not only that, he was saying statements like, I don't think this is gonna work ever. And I was like, I had no idea what was going on, because we argued like that was part of our dating life, our young married life. Like, so within days, and anyone that walked this journey with me or knew our relationship was just as shocked. Like my person genuinely couldn't catch up with what was going on. Come to find out, and I was able to figure all this out within days, that during our argument, he had somehow met someone online. They had already gone out on a date, and so he now just felt like we have to be done, right? And I prayed about it, and I felt like God told me, you're gonna fight for this marriage. Like, I hate divorce. I created marriage. There's a reason why I hate divorce. Like, I want you to study about divorce, and I actually want you to stand for your marriage, and I want you to give him as much space as he needs, but you continue to wear your ring, you continue to show him love, show him grace, and you continue to act as his wife. And that ensued an 18-month journey for me. And my ex-husband at the time was already dating this person and posting about this person, and like it was just so much in my face. And I just firmly believed, like I had heard testimonies, like I have so many, like if I was to go into it, this video would be so long, but like I had so many God sightings of like, God's gonna restore this marriage. And it was one of the hardest seasons because I missed my husband at the time, and it was hard for me to watch someone that I love be with somebody else and just feel a little bit helpless. But I also just had like this unwavering, full faith that this was not going to end in divorce, that this was going to end in us getting back together. To make a very long story short, he ends up taking me to court because I told him I cannot sign these divorce papers. Like I just don't have any peace about it. And I had asked him just to wait until I felt peace about it. And so that makes us go to court in the end of 2017. And by the middle of 2018, he gets granted this divorce. And I still believed that God could restore the marriage. Like I knew of stories of people getting divorced and remarried. So like still my faith in it wasn't shaken, but my faith in God was shaken because I felt like he had let me down. I felt like, and to this day, like even though, let's see, the divorce was granted in 2018, so we're looking at 5.5 years later, there are still parts of me that don't fully understand what was that like. And I have had to spend 5 years wrestling with, I know who you are and I know what your word says, and I also know what you're capable of. Like I've actually seen you. Like there were women that came to me in this season and had me pray and stand for their marriages, and I would watch their marriages restored to the point that they would have children with their partners. And so I could not make sense of it. Like my rational mind just couldn't make sense of. And what it actually raked up was the childhood Tiffany that really doesn't know, is God actually for me? Is he actually on my side? Can I really trust him? And I just wanted to get on here and share that like the faith journey and the Christian journey actually is not getting what we want when we pray enough, miracles happen. Yes, I do believe all of that. But there are stories like mine that don't end in the typical miracle story that you were believing for. And how does your faith and your story, how does the disappointment and faith, how can those coexist? And I'm still working that out. Like I'm not on here claiming that it all totally makes sense to me, because it doesn't all the time. But I think the resolve that I've come to is that as I've walked these 5 years of confusion with God, what I know is even when I'm praying for something that's good and I don't see it, I get a no. You're still a good father. And I've actually learned this in my young motherhood journey right now, because there's a lot of things that Sabella wants, but sometimes I cannot give them to her, and she doesn't always understand why. And in the moment, she just thinks maybe I'm being mean, and she won't understand for a very long time, and she may never understand. But I think that that's what I'm learning about my journey with God in this season is, you didn't answer it, but you're good and you have my good, and that I can trust even if I don't always trust the journey.